Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and the new Hawkeye miniseries. I'm here with my friend Vince again.
What's going on?
Hey, um, so yeah, I thought both of these shows were very good. I think Marvel's had a really good year. Um, we're going to start with Spider-Man No Way Home. What did you think about the movie?
Man, that was a great movie. I mean, I grew up watching the Spider-Man movies, so of course, I'm gonna have a little bit of a bias towards it. But I mean, looking back, I mean, just movie-wise, it was a really well-made movie, and I enjoyed it a lot. I went with my buddies, and we were all like, clapping and cheering and stuff. It was a good time.
Yeah, my family loved it. So something I like about the movie is usually when like franchises bring back old characters, they don't really do them justice in my opinion.
Hmm.
Like with the Jurassic World movies, they brought the scientist guy back, played by Jeff Goldblum, and I feel like they didn't really use him that much. He was just kind of a cameo.
Hmm.
And then with Star Wars, when they brought Luke back, they kind of, you
Botched
know,
it, yeah.
completely ruined his character. Uh, but that's a video for another time.
It is.
But when they brought back Toby and Andrew, and of course all the villains, I felt like they like used them in a really nice way.
Hmm. I would agree.
Like they're not just pointless cameos, and they're still the same characters they were when we left off.
Hmm. I
So
would argue that Andrew was even better because I think they just wrote a better script for him.
yeah, I've
But
always liked Andrew's Spider-Man. I just didn't like his movies.
yeah, I thought the first one was good. I enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man 1. Amazing Spider-Man 2, like honestly, I think that before I watched it that I heard so much like hate about it that when I actually watched it, I'm like, it's not as bad as everyone was saying. Personally.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
think the
also a guy who
problem.
doesn't read the comics either, so like I don't have, like a lot of people like argue about like, in relation to comic book stuff and all that. I don't have that bias. I don't read comics personally. Uh, so I just kind of like watch the movies and that's how it is. And
Yeah,
so based off of that, I really liked the Amazing Spider-Man 1. I'd say it was better than Spider-Man 3. And I'd say that Amazing Spider-Man 1, and you might not like this, but I think it was on par with Tobey's Spider-Man 1. I think they were both really well made movies. But I do see the criticism with Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a way. It was a little not dorky, but you know, but Andrew's acting in that movie was good as always.
yeah, there's like parts of those movies I like, but they seem too crowded. Like it seems like there's too much stuff going on, like too
Yeah.
many villains, especially in the second one. Um, but I kind of agree with you. Like, I don't read the comics myself, so I come from like, well, I feel like an adaptation doesn't need to be one to one, you
Hmm.
know, as long as it like the story holds up in its own movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as long as it makes sense within the movie it's saying.
Hmm.
But yeah. So something I have to say about No Way Home is it's cool that we have Daredevil back. Have you seen the Daredevil series?
I have not, but I knew who Matt Murdock was from like
Yeah.
you know just
Yeah.
knowing.
I'm a huge fan of that. Seeing him again, but I feel like they could have used him more, because he's a very powerful character. I feel like,
I
he
just
could
think
have.
it was one of those situations where it's like you have so much to cover in one movie to the point where it's like, and that brings me
Yeah.
to the thing I think I like best about this movie is that no matter who was in it, Daredevil, the other two Spider-Men, it was still Tom Holland's movie and it was his story, and
That's
I
true.
think that
Yeah.
they did a really really good job balancing the fan servicey, like hey, like let's focus on Toby and Andrew for a minute, but they balance that really well with at the end of the day it's Tom's story, and I think they did a really really good job at that. It never like felt like it was someone else's story, like Matt Murdock's or whatever. Like I thought the same thing, like he was kind of in and out, but I think that they're probably gonna like give him something again, like Marvel's
Yeah.
gonna do something with Daredevil and they'll expand on that, but I just don't think the movie had enough time for
That's true.
anything
That's
more with
true.
him.
I did like what you said about like the movie being Tom Holland's movie
Hmm.
because I I know it's kind of an unpopular opinion, but Tom Holland's actually my favorite Spider-Man.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just think he plays it well. Like he's not so cool like Andrews was, but he's not like a complete wimp like Toby's was. I like Toby, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it.
I just like his take on the character, and I think like Tom Holland's just a really good actor
Yeah,
for the part.
they're
So
all great actors. I mean,
they are, yeah.
I honestly like I don't even have a favorite Spider-Man. Like people are like, who's the strongest, who's the best, and they're like putting these things up. Like, and I know this sounds like super like whatever or cheesy, but like they all, in my opinion, like why compare when they're all enjoyable? You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
enjoy watching them all, and they all have different qualities and quirks that I enjoy watching. Like I honestly do not have a favorite Spider-Man
yeah, I
personally.
get it. Yeah,
Uh, but that being said, you know Tom Holland's great, Andrew's great, Toby's great. There's things about them um, that I enjoy, and yeah, Tom's acting. I mean, Andrew, of course, we were all expecting him to be good because he's just a
he's a great
fantastic
actor.
actor.
Yeah,
And Toby felt like I think it was really cool. Like he felt like a matured version of you know Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, which is cool.
yeah. I like
But
how he was
Tom,
more mature, but he also had that like sense of awkwardness.
yep,
You
he
know,
had
he
that
was
kind of
still
like
in character,
yeah,
like the
absolutely.
wave when he walked in.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking of. The little smile at the old lady, like you know, uh, he still carried that kind of awkwardness with him, but he was just more mature, and you know, you could tell he like grew into his. He's just like a more. He looks like he's kind of in the rhythm of life, kind of. You know, like he found the balance of Spider-Man and Peter Parker at that point because he's had you know what, 12 years after Spider-Man 3 to do it,
Yeah,
but yeah, Tom did a fantastic job. I was really impressed with Tom's acting. There were
yeah.
moments like I don't cry during movies personally. I think the only time I've cried during a movie was Endgame. uh,
The only time I've cried was Toy Story 3 when I was 7.
really?
And The Father, because that was about like dementia. You know, that's kind
Uh-huh.
of a tough subject, but that's like the only 2 times I remember crying in a movie theater.
Yeah, but I mean, gee, I was like, I think there's a difference between you know crying but then being moved. And I've been
Yeah,
moved a few times during you know different movies and definitely during that Aunt May scene. Uh,
yeah.
I definitely like felt that like flutter in my heart where I was like, oh man, you
I
know?
really, I really like that scene because like it's kind of realistic because she was in like a state of shock, so
Yeah.
she didn't know how bad she was. You
Hmm.
know, I thought that was kind of cool. Like usually it's like the dead and they're like, with great power comes great, you know. But
Yeah.
like with Aunt May this time, she didn't know how bad it was, and she kind of kept going for a while. Then she died. I thought that
Yeah.
was more realistic.
And I think that made it even more sad in a way too. You know, like Tom was like almost just he didn't want to believe that she was gonna die, but like he kind of knew, but he was in denial, and Aunt May was like pretty much unaware.
Yeah,
And so yeah, I think that was I mean that I think the sequence from um doing the when they were in Happy's apartment, like doing all the like making the chemicals and fixing Doc Ock, I think from there up until honestly the rest of the movie I think was a perfect movie. I think that there were a few things in the first like third that I was like, all right, you know, I'll go with it. Like I think a few of the choices were kind of weird, like the lizard and Sandman. I feel like I guess their motivations were pretty much like they just wanted to go back home and like they
yeah,
didn't understand what was going on. So I get that. Like Sandman's like I just want to go home. So he's just like fighting for the hell because he doesn't know who any of these people are. Um, and then the lizard. I mean, you know,
he's just kind of there.
he's just kind of there. But I think that Electro, I get where he was coming from.
I liked him better in this than I did in his original movie.
Yes, me too. And I think that the best motives or whatever you want to call it were Doc Ock and especially Green Goblin. But
I love Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin. Like
yeah,
he knows exactly what type of movie he's in, and he like plays up the cartoonistness.
yep.
Like I
But
love it.
not in a way that's like cheesy either. He does a really
Yeah,
good job of like
I love his like the
being
thing he does with
extreme.
his
Yeah.
mouth. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I liked Doc Ock in this movie. How he kind of got like a little bit of a redemption arc. That
I
was
think
cool.
yeah, I think that was great. You know, I I guess I don't really have any gripes with the movie. I give it a solid 9.5 out of 10. But I think that the only thing I would ask for was, I mean, it's just so hard sometimes when you got so much to catch up on. But like a little bit more room to breathe in like the first third of the movie or the first act. You know, just more
Yeah,
breathing room. number one, and number two, in a way, like try to make it seem less like exposition, because like they were obviously like at some points I'm like, all right, they're just like giving us like exposition through dialogue, but which is inevitable. But
I think it's been done rules. Like I've
it
seen
has, oh, for
shows.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure,
Um,
but that's just kind of my opinion.
what do you think about like the ending when he has to make everybody forget that he's Peter Parker?
I think I think that's why Tom Holland I could consider to be one of my favorite Spider-Man now, but definitely he's not Iron Boy Jr. like people call him. I never thought that in the first place, but
No, I thought the whole thing was like him trying to live up for that, and he realized he can't. That was kind of the arc of the second movie.
Well, I think that what I realized through, after this movie, I was kind of walking out of the theater, and me and my friends were like, dude, like that was a 3-movie origin story for Spider-Man. Like now
that's what my friend Clay said too.
Yeah, he's now Spider-Man. He's like, comic book. He's got like no money because nobody knows who he is. Happy can't get him, Stark's money because nobody knows who he is. His AI doesn't recognize him, so he has to have a regular suit. He lives in an apartment in New York, and nobody knows who he is. So I mean, like he is literally.
How does he have like a social security card to get the apartment though?
I don't know, but I mean, at the end of the day, like he is Peter Parker now, and he's back at square one. And I guess the only thing he has now is motivation and the skill that he learned from fighting.
I feel so bad about it though, because like great power comes great responsibility. He literally like gave up everything.
Yeah,
he lost. Yeah. He doesn't have anything left.
I think that it was the first time that I felt that Tom Holland's Spider-Man had to take a legit he had to take a consequence for his actions, because none of this would have happened if he would have just been like, all right, people know I'm Peter Parker, gotta move on with my life. I feel like
they could have been easily avoided if him and Doctor Strange talked about what the risk was going to be beforehand, instead of like changing it mid thing. Like they could have like made a plan, had it in writing, Well,
I mean, that's the thing though. I mean, Tom Holland screwed up the plan or screwed up the spell. And I think that he had to deal with the consequence of his own actions. And I think that that's probably why it was such a good movie, is because like as much as it hurts at the end to be like, oh man, like Ned and MJ don't even know who he is right now. Like,
I don't really feel bad for them though. Like they're fine. I feel bad.
Yeah, I feel bad for Peter, but I'm saying
Tom
had to deal with a humongous consequence because of him. Some would call it selfish. Some would be like, "Oh, of course he would do that," but it was a selfish action to try and cast a spell and to save yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that it was a great movie, and action-wise, it was fantastic. The fight scenes were great. The acting, of course, all the actors did a great job. Story was really good, and I mean, it was a really, really solid movie.
Yeah. So what did you think of Hawkeye?
Hawkeye was, I think Hawkeye was like really grounded, and I like that. Like I like Marvel when it's grounded. I think that's why
I like how it kind of had low stakes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Iron Man 1, I think, is still my favorite Marvel movie, and it's just because it's so grounded and real. And I think parts of Iron Man 2 I like too really a lot, because it's just like, as much as I love Thor and Captain America and
the Guardians,
Guardians, Avengers movies, all that stuff, like they're fun, they're great stories, and I really do like them, but I like Iron Man especially because of how grounded it feels, and how realistic it's like, or achievable it is. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if a guy really tried, he could build a suit like that, eventually.
I really like the relationship in this between Clint and Kate. Like I don't know, they have like really good chemistry. She's kind of like a sidekick, but she saves them a couple times. He saves her. It's like, but they have like a nice little banter,
Yeah, they're a good dynamic for sure.
Yeah,
I was kind of worried about it at first. I'm like, with the whole,
Disney
making a new sidekick for the hero. I'm like, it's been done a million times, like the new Prodigy or whatever. But like, I think they did
the new Captain America, the new Black Widow,
exactly.
The new Hawkeye. Yeah,
I was like, oh boy, here we go. But I think
like, ooh, this is how his contract's running out.
I mean, I instantly noticed, like in the first episode, how charming Haley Steinfeld was. She's a great actress, and I think that I immediately like enjoyed her character. Like there was no like, oh boy, here we go. You know what I mean? Like it was, I really like, I didn't have any of that feeling. Like I just genuinely enjoyed her character. Like she had flaws, and that's always good. When you're making a new character, she was just a little bit of ahead of herself, and I think that's a problem that a lot of us struggle with, is getting ahead of ourselves and thinking that we're capable before we are. And I
Yeah.
think that was a good arc for her to learn. Is that like no, like
And it's kind of more like whole origin story,
mhm.
which I liked. I liked how they brought back Yelena from the Black Widow movie because he was
Yes.
like the only thing I liked about that movie.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know. I liked whole like confrontations with Kate. How she was like friendly, but also like I want to kill your friend.
Yeah, yeah.
That was kind of funny. And
Well,
then
it's like
like
business for Yelena. It's just like,
yeah,
well, it
the
is
whole
like,
like final scene when Hole and Clint were trying to clear things up. I thought that was really well handled.
yeah. I think that the show, again, just like Spider-Man, did a really good job of making it a good balance between Hawkeye's story and also
Kate's.
Kate's story.
Yeah, there's no way Kingpin's dead though, right? Like,
No,
there's
no.
no way he's dead. They can't bring back such a good character and then just kill him off immediately. There's no way,
I know what they're gonna do. I called it before the episode even came out. I told my friend, I was like, I think that what they're gonna do is they're gonna injure him in the end, or he's gonna lose a fight, and I think he's gonna try and make his own super soldier serum or something to like be unstoppable.
I mean, he
And
got hit
he's
by a car. I think he's good now, but
yeah, but I mean, I think that he's gonna become comic book accurate Kingpin, or he's gonna get bigger or something like that. And,
yeah.
and I don't know when he's going to appear. He could be in a Spider-Man movie. He might be, I don't know if they're going to revive Daredevil, but he's going to come back in some way, in my opinion.
But I'm confused though because it's like he died in Daredevil. Spoilers, but like he got shot in the head and died.
Hmm.
So like, is this not this? Is this a different universe?
I wonder.
Like we don't. I don't know. Doesn't
Who
really
knows?
matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought both were great. Hawkeye was great. Spider Man was great. Yeah. Anything else you want to say?
No, man. I mean, I just props to Marvel for making really solid, movie and TV show. I mean, Loki is still my favorite Disney Plus Marvel show.
Yeah.
Um, but I really enjoyed Hawkeye. It was a really
Yeah.
good show, and
I'd
Spider-Man was good
go.
too.
I'd go Loki, Wanda, Hawkeye, Falcon. That's how I'd
Hmm.
go. Um.
I would go Loki. Gee. Between probably Loki, Hawkeye, and then Falcon and Wanda are kind of just even.
Yeah. But yeah. Thanks for coming on. This was nice.
No problem, bro.
Yeah. Maybe you could come
Thank
back
you for
when
having me.
Boba Fett ends.
Yeah, dude. Boba Fett, that was a good. I mean, obviously, we're not going to talk about it now. We'll have to wait till it's over. But
Yeah.
solid first episode, man.
Yeah. Solid. Yeah. It ended, and I was like, oh, that's it.
Well, I mean, yeah, dude. I was like, when it ended, I was like thinking to myself because I was watching it before work yesterday,
Yeah.
and I was like, that'd be hilarious if they just like ended it during the flashback. I was like, imagine if they do that. And then they did. I'm like, fuck. I was so bummed.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but
That's
I was
okay.
like, damn it, because like now I gotta wait a whole new week, for the next episode. But I guess that's part of the intrigue is making people want more.
I like weekly television,
Yeah,
because you get to talk about it with like, not everybody's kind of on the same page.
yeah.
That's what I like that. But yeah,
I did
thanks for
hear
coming on.
Han Solo's gonna be in it too. There's a
Hmm.
rumor that young Han Solo's gonna be in it, so we'll see if they go with that too. But
Oh,
that's a story
yay.
for another time. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks everybody for watching, and peace.